Hello, boys and girls. Our friend Mr. Spider is here with his favorite fiction selection.
Yes, Mrs. Neve, and hi, boys and girls. I have a lot of fiction books that I really enjoy, but this is my most favorite of all time.
Ooh, let's see what we got here.
Be nice to spiders.
I can see why it would be your favorite.
It's wonderful. It's fiction, Mrs. Neve, but it does have some true facts in it about spiders, including the fact that we should be nice to them.
Okay, Mr. Spider, let's have a look.
I'll listen over here.
Very nice. And speaking of nice, be nice to spiders. And there you can see our spider. She has made a drag line coming down from the letter I. Okay, let's see. We'll find the title page here. Ah, yes, here we go. Be Nice to Spiders. It is by Margaret Bloy Graham. Now I'm wondering if she also did the illustrations. I do not see a separate name for the illustrations, so I'm guessing she did. One morning, as the keeper of the zoo was about to unlock the gate, he noticed something on the steps. It was a matchbox with a note that read, "Please look after Helen. I've had her since she was a baby, but I can't keep her anymore. We have to move to an apartment that won't take pets. Thanks, Billy." I wonder what's inside the box. Something named Helen. Let's see if I can move a little closer here. The keeper opened the matchbox, and out jumped Helen. "Great Scott!" he said. "A spider!" There she is. He tried to catch her, but Helen was too fast for him. She had 8 legs and moved like lightning. Helen ran up a big maple tree. Then she quickly spun a long silk thread and lowered herself into the ventilator of a big building. Ooh, there, she's made another drag line coming down from the maple tree. She's gone down that. She's going to go in this ventilator. A ventilator is a pipe that lets air in. It was the lion house. There was a big old lion in one cage and a mother lion with her cubs in another. There was also lots of flies. They were buzzing in the lions' ears and crawling on their noses. The lions were annoyed, but Helen was delighted. She loved to eat flies. Right away she set to work to catch them. She began by spinning a web with her silk thread. Do you see Helen? She's lowered herself on a drag line. See her now? There she is. First, Helen spun the outside threads. Okay, so there's our outside threads. Then she dropped straight down. Next, she spun lots of threads from the center to the outside. So she's working from the middle and bringing these threads to the outside. Then she spun a little spiral in the middle. There it is right there, the little spiral in the middle. Ah, this is number 3. And number 4, finally, she spun a big spiral. This part of the web was very sticky. So you can see the little spiral in the middle and the bigger spiral out here, and that's the sticky part of the web. Now, why do you think a spider wants a sticky part of the web? So the insects will stick, right? They'll get stuck in the web. Well, when Helen had finished, she sat in the center and waited. One by one, the flies got caught in the sticky part of the web, and one by one, Helen ate them. Now you know how she eats them, right? Yeah, she's going to suck up the juices. A week went by. Helen kept catching and eating flies until there were no more in the lion house. She had caught and eaten them all. Now the big old lion snoozed peacefully all day long. The mother lion licked her cubs and purred. and Helen was fat and satisfied. Everybody's happy, right? Next, Helen moved to the elephant house. There were lots of flies there, too, and elephants don't like flies any better than lions do. In a week, Helen had caught all the flies in the elephant house. The mother elephant and her baby were happy and could once again enjoy a bath. Wow, Helen is very helpful, isn't she? Then Helen moved to the zebra house. Flies were crawling all over the zebras and driving them wild. Oh, Mr. Zebra would be alarmed. As soon as Helen had caught all the flies there, the zebras were able to eat their hay in peace. Now Mr. Zebra would be happy. Did you see Helen's web there? Now we can note by Helen's web that she is one of those orb weavers, isn't she? She makes the kind of web that looks like a wheel. Helen went from one building to another, spinning webs and eating up all the flies. The zoo became a peaceful place. All the animals were happy and contented. As for Helen, she was happy and contented too. It was a spider's paradise. A happy zoo. One morning, the keeper blew his whistle 3 times. All the men came running, and the animals looked up to see what was going on. "Boys," said the keeper, "the mayor is coming to inspect the zoo this afternoon at 4. The animals look fine, but the cages sure need cleaning up. And don't forget to get rid of all of those spider webs." Oh dear. Now, the mayor is what you call the leader of the town, kind of like the president is the leader of our country. The mayor is the leader of the town. So our zookeeper wants to impress the mayor and not have any of these messy-looking spider webs around, even though our friend Helen is an orb weaver and her spider webs look pretty nice. "But, Chief," said his assistant, scratching his head, "I thought spiders were supposed to be sort of useful." "Joe," said the keeper, "those webs make the place look a mess. Okay, boys, get busy." The men started sweeping the cages. Then they hosed and scrubbed them down. What's Helen going to do? What do you think? When they were cleaning the camel house, one of the men saw Helen. "Quick, give me the broom!" he shouted. He took a big swing at her, but Helen had disappeared. Whew. See, there was Helen up there. She even has some flies in the web. The whole zoo was clean and shining when the mayor arrived. "Excellent," he said. "I'm delighted. I've never seen the place so neat, and the animals looking so well." I'm thinking the mayor is that guy with the black hat. Meanwhile, Helen was still in the camel house, hiding in a crack in the ceiling. As the days went by, she grew very hungry, but she didn't dare come out. The flies began coming back, and the camels were irritable again. Irritable means grumpy. At last, Helen became so hungry she couldn't stand it any longer. That night, when no one was around, she started spinning another web. Oh, there you can see she started it. She's got the outside lines first, and then she dropped down. From then on, Helen stayed in the camel house, catching flies, but she didn't dare go anywhere else, which was a good thing for the camels. The camels were happy and contented again. No more flies to bother them. Oops, I think I have a couple of pages stuck together. I still want to be careful to do my pages from the corners. If you just try to do them in the middle, that's how you can rip pages, and that's not good for books. But if you carefully take it from the corner, You won't rip the pages. Well, it was good in the camel house, but everywhere else in the zoo it was a different story. It didn't take long for the flies to come back and bother all the other animals. The keeper went from cage to cage. "I can't understand it, Joe," he said. "When the mayor was here, the animals were in such good shape. Now look at them."
"You're right, Chief," said Joe. "They sure look miserable."
Those poor animals. Of course, we know why. Their last stop was the camel house. "Why, the camels seem fine," said the keeper.
"And there don't seem to be any flies in here," said Joe.
They both looked around carefully.
"Look, Chief," Joe shouted. "Now I know what's going on. See that spider web up there? It's eating all the flies. That's why the camels look so good. Spiders are useful. That's what I tried to tell you the other day."
"Of course, Joe," cried the keeper. "I should have known it all along. Let's call the men." There's Helen up there. He blew his whistle and the men came running. "Boys," he said, "Joe has made a great discovery. Spiders are good for the zoo. They keep the flies from bothering the animals. They help us do our job. So from now on, there's a new rule. Be nice to spiders." Soon the zoo became famous for its happy, healthy animals, and Helen was treated like a queen. One day, Helen's picture appeared in the front page of the paper. The headline read, "Local Zoo Named Best of Year." There's Helen, right on the front page of the paper. "3 cheers for the spider," says the zookeeper. That evening, the father of the little boy who had left Helen at the zoo said, "Billy, look at this."
"Hey, it's my spider!" Billy shouted. "It's Helen!"
"Well, well," said his father. "Instead of the zoo taking care of Helen, Helen seems to be taking care of the zoo." Indeed, Helen was, wasn't she? The next morning, Billy ran to the zoo. "I'm Billy," he said to the keeper. "I'm the one who brought you that spider."
"Hey, look! She's made an egg sac. I bet there'll be plenty of baby spiders soon."
Oh, yes, you have to look very carefully up there. On Helen's web, she has spun an egg sac. Helen's going to be a mother. And Billy was right. A few days later, out of the egg sac came lots of little spiders. You know what they're called, spiderlings. From then on, Helen and her children and all the animals in the zoo lived happily ever after. Aw, I'm sure Helen's a wonderful mother. And look at all those babies. The end. And she's got another drag line coming down from the D. Drag line starts with D. Oh, I love this story, Mr. Spider.
Oh, me too. Isn't it great?
Yes, it was a fun story about Helen, but it also made an important point that spiders do have an important job to do.
Yes, planet Earth would be run over by insects if it wasn't for spiders.
That's right. Well, Mr. Spider, thanks again.
Oh, you're welcome, Mrs. Neve. And boys and girls, always remember,
2 + 6 = 8?
Well, that too, Mrs. Neve. But always remember, be nice to spiders.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Spider.